Hello, let's get going on another practice session. Start by warming up a little bit. Good old bear. Nice and easy, turn back and forth. Feel the turn play out through the whole body. All the parts moving easily. Rear crown of the head suspended. Weight dropping through the body. Feet quiet on the ground, bubbling wells open to earth. And the mind rests in the Dantian. Feeling all the parts change, feeling the hip joints opening and closing. When one hip joint closes, the other is opening. So you turn towards the leg you're shifting into, and you move away from the other leg. So feel the two hip joints changing out of sync with each other. Feel the arms changing, they're not rigid. So as the arm swings, your shoulder will change, the elbow will change. You'll feel the motion go all the way out to the hand. And this happens because of the turning, not because you're moving your arms. You're not stirring a giant pot of soup in front of you. Abdominal breathing. As you breathe in, the abdomen expands. As you breathe out, you release it. Really feeling all the parts change. Another couple swings. Great. Let's do a little targeted work on the hip joints. What you're going to do is put all your weight in the back, put your other foot out slightly so it's not back with the other one, and you're going to throw the knee of the empty leg towards the inside and then towards the outside. Make sure it goes in and then out, not out and then in. And the real thing that you're doing is you're making the hip joint go through all of its motion. So don't worry about the knee and the foot so much. Pay attention to the hip joint. And just kind of throw that knee around to the inside, then out to the outside. And try to get a lot of free feeling inside the hip joint. You can do what I'm doing and put a hand right there in that empty leg's hip joint so that you feel the changes happening there. And do this fairly quickly. This isn't a slow meditative exercise. This is just really trying to get those hip joints greased, warmed up, feeling good. Letting the whole leg be loose. Just let it flop as you do this. And you kind of throw the knee in a circle. From inside to outside, not the other way. Okay, a couple more times on this side. And change. Now, the reason I'm making such a big deal about making sure the knee goes from inside to outside is that when we do this in class, I always see people going the other way. So if you're at all confused about whether your knee is going from the inside to the outside, Check it out. Watch what I'm doing. Knee goes to the inside, then to the outside. And make sure you know which direction that is. Okay, and now go. Make sure the empty foot's slightly ahead of the other foot. And let this be really loose as you do this. Really getting that hip joint changing. You can put your finger right in it so you feel it. Tossing the knee from inside to outside. Letting the whole leg be soft. Leg is soft and loose, throwing the knee from inside to outside, getting the hip joint loosened. Another couple times. Great. Let's do the shoulder rolls that Beth worked on Tuesday. What you're going to do is you're going to shift in and out of a 70-30, and you're going to use that to move the shoulder socket of the shoulder that goes with your front leg. So when my left leg is forward, it's my left shoulder. Again, I'm making a big deal out of this because I always see people doing the other one. So use the shoulder that goes with your front leg and bring it through its full range of motion. Make sure it's the shoulder socket moving, not your elbow and hand. So get the shoulder socket to come up towards your ear, towards your spine, down towards your hips, towards your center in the front. All the way around. As much motion as you can get in the shoulder socket. The shifting forward and back is just to give it a little more oomph. But the real motion is in the shoulder socket. So you can put your other hand on it. You should really feel that shoulder socket moving a lot. And let me say it again, it's the shoulder that goes with your front leg. So when my left leg is forward, it's the left shoulder. Okay, and then change directions, same shoulder, roll it around the other way. And now change sides. Put your other foot forward. That means it's going to be the other shoulder, the one that goes with your front foot. And roll it around. You can put your other hand on it so you really feel that shoulder socket moving. It's the shoulder, not the elbow and hand that you're trying to move. Full range of motion in the shoulder socket. And change directions. Same leg forward, same shoulder moving. Okay, now we're going to do both shoulders 50-50. So start in the bear stance. And before we do this, I want you to actually move your shoulders. So bring both shoulders forward so they're coming towards your center line. Feel this. Put both shoulders up like you're trying to touch your ears with the shoulders. Feel that. Take both shoulders back towards each other in the back so you feel that. Push both shoulders down as far as you can. So the shoulder sockets move a lot. The place that the shoulder is connected to the skeleton is here in front. It's not connected over here. The collarbone runs from the shoulder to your sternum, and that's where the shoulders connect to the skeleton. So they move a lot. They move all over. So we're getting them to move all over. You're going to stand up and sit down just kind of pumping it, but the motion is in the shoulders. So go ahead. Roll both shoulders all the way around, like an infinity sign wrapped around you. They're both making big circles. You may well hear a lot of crackling and popping, packing material sound. Totally natural. So don't worry if it's going snap, snap, snap. And if it's not, don't worry about that either. I'm not getting much popping myself this morning. I often get a lot of popping. Okay, and now change the direction of the roll. Great. So enjoy it for a second. You should feel fairly warm and loose in the shoulders. You should feel fairly warm and loose in the hips. Let's do a first third. And just let this be peaceful and comfortable, easy, relaxed. Go ahead. Okay, we're gonna do some more posture holding work. We try to do a mix of different kinds of work. Sometimes we'll spend a lot of time on something that's more technical or more conceptual, trying to get you to understand, say, it is rooted in the feet, released through the legs, directed by the waist, expressed in the hands. And those are big. They all build on this raw foundation of your basic Tai Chi training, your Kung Fu. And so you have to have that. So, that sometimes people work only on one side or the other. They work only on the lofty, conceptual, mystical, amazing, wonderful things, or they work only on the raw, teeth gritting, sweating, legs shaking foundation. And so we really try to get a blend across all of that. But you can't ignore the foundational work. It's foundational because that's what everything else builds on. And so you have to do it. While we're doing posture holding here, this is not some kind of sadomasochistic exercise. This is not a place to try to prove how tough you are. What we're doing is putting you in a place which, this is up to you, right? You could be watching this at home, just sitting on the couch and drinking a beer and thinking this is entertainment. I'd have to wonder if you don't have something better to do for entertainment. But you're working on this at home, and so we want you to be working on this along with us, but it's up to you to do the work. There's no social pressure, there's no classmates seeing you, there's none of that. And so it's actually an ideal place for you to really do the work. And holding the postures is like the cauldron, the alchemical vessel in which transformation takes place, and you're applying heat and pressure to do that. So the work of holding the postures is not intended to be painful and uncomfortable. It will be difficult, and you want to keep approaching that with a feeling of ease. You want to have this, even as the heat and the pressure builds up, you're continuing to stay at ease. So when you're holding a posture and you're there, you don't start out, you don't hold postures like this. Because this is too easy. There's no heat, there's no pressure. So I need to sit down when I'm holding the postures. And when I'm down there, beware the tendency to grit and become harder, and I am going to hold this no matter what. That's completely in the wrong direction. When you feel the intensity starting to build, take that as an opportunity to relax. Relax even in the face of difficult work. So rather than having the difficulty of the work build tension in you, teach yourself continually to be letting go, even as it gets more difficult. And part of that is that when you feel like standing up, and I hope you're standing in ward-off with me along at home, when you feel like standing up, it's really easy to say, oh, I'll just stand up. And in that moment, instead, release down. Release down. Now, there will come a time when it's too much. And it doesn't matter how long that is. It doesn't matter if it's 5 seconds or 10 seconds or 3 minutes or, an hour. When it becomes too much, let it be there just for a second, and then stand up all the way, get out of the posture, shake your legs out, do whatever you need to get rid of that extra tension, and sit back down. Don't sit back to a comfortable place. Sit back down, return to the work, dive right back into the vat of molten lava without hesitation. The next time you'll probably have to stand up faster. That's okay. So while you're doing this work, keep coming back to relax, letting go. You'll be in an intense situation of your own choosing. You get to pick to do this. It's not one of those challenges that life throws at you. It's one that you're picking. And you're teaching yourself to remain calm and relaxed, even in that intense situation, even under that pressure. Same thing for separating. Separating is not a for show thing. Look, I can pick my foot up. When I do that, what I just did, I'm activating everything in the leg. What I want to teach myself is to separate, and when I separate, have the leg continuing to relax. So you don't want to tighten to pick it up. You want to change the balance of the body so that the leg floats off the ground right in place. Nothing else changes. So nobody but you knows if you're touching the ground, if your foot's in the air, because you don't have to do something. And when you're working on that, you'll notice that if you actually do the external thing of pulling the leg off the ground, that you tighten something in the leg. And so right away, try to feel what you tightened and release it. So again, under the heat and pressure of needing to separate, you're still working on letting go. It's way better to have 1 milligram of weight left in the leg and the leg is relaxing than to pull the leg off the ground and put 100 pounds of tension in the leg. So way better to be just barely touching the ground and letting the leg go, and then see what's the very minimum I have to do to float it, and release whatever you did there and go back down to the ground, then to pull off the ground. Because when you pull the leg off the ground, again, it's just like holding postures and building tension. You're teaching yourself exactly the wrong thing. You're teaching yourself to use force to pull the leg off the ground, which is not separating empty and full. You want to figure out how to use the structure and the shape so that the leg can float off the ground without changing anything else. And if the leg comes off the ground and immediately falls back down, then you didn't really separate. If you got 1 milligram left, you manage to get 0 milligrams, the leg comes off the ground, but you used a little force and you release that force and the leg goes back down on the ground, that is better than pulling it off the ground. And then the last thing that holding postures lets you do is it gives you a chance to check the details of your shape. So this is the technical part. You get to see, am I really in ward-off? Is the center of my chest actually going into my palm, or is my hand over at the side? Or did I pull it across me? What's the other wrist doing? Is it cocked here at my side, or do I really have beautiful lady's hand? Is my waist really square, or did I leave it open partly? And by giving yourself the time to sit in a posture, you've got a chance to check all those things and bring yourself back into alignment. So holding postures is very active. This is not a time for trying to go away and ignore the suffering that's in your legs. It's a time to be right there, to understand why your legs are hurting, and to help them relax. It's a time to look at all the details of where your body is and let yourself relax into a better shape. It's a time to stay calm, mind in dantian, like a meditation, rather than letting it build tension. So we'll start from the top, and we'll stop at the postures, and we'll see how far I get, and then I'll turn it over to Beth, and she'll get us a little further. Beth volunteers that I can keep you sitting in your legs as long as I want. Okay, so starting out right at the very beginning, check your feet, make sure you've got a good V. So sometimes one foot will be angled more than the other, and you don't even know that. That happens for me because my hips are not equivalent, and so I'll turn one foot out more than the other without realizing it. So bring them back here. It's not a plie. You're not trying to get absolute max turnout. You want your feet, no more than to the corners. They might just be 60 degrees apart, 30 degrees each, rather than a full 90. That's okay. It should be comfortable. Rear crown of the head is as if suspended. See if you lean, bring yourself back upright. Shift down into the right leg as you do that. Release the left leg. This feels down, not over to the side, so you're going straight down. You should be empty. You should be able to pick your foot up. Belly stays soft. Nothing changes. Place the foot. You should be able to float it again without changing anything else. Shift. As you shift, the body will open to the right. Really get yourself all the way in the left leg here so that you can let the right knee buoy and you can let the right foot come off the ground without changing anything. When you do that, you may have tensed other places in the body. Try to relax them. Turn back to the front. Right foot pivots on heel. This is a difficult place to separate, but the thing that happens is you accidentally put weight in that right leg as you're turning back. So make sure you can still pick the right foot up. Now, underground 50-50, stand up to an unlocked knee position. Even if you stepped in exactly the right place, with all that picking up the feet and everything, it's likely that you messed them up a little bit. So look down, make sure your toes are in a line, make sure your feet are parallel. Fix them. Okay, opening posture. Let the arms swing up, the wrists are relaxed. Feel out to the tips of the fingers, the wrists are flat. Second bend. Bring the hands back towards the body. Third bend. Let the elbows slide back, wrists drop, fingertips point up. Fourth bend. Let the wrists gradually straighten as the hands come back down. And again, a long curve from the feet all the way through the body to the fingers. Hands come back, sliding on the invisible tabletop. Arms run into your body, let the elbows slide back, wrists drop, fingertips point up. Hands come down, wrists gradually straightening so you get back to beautiful lady's hand right at the bottom. Again, a long curve out, coming back in. Fingertips don't raise, let the wrists drop, that's what makes the hands bend back, and then let them continue dropping as they come down. Standing here. This posture is relatively easy. Doesn't mean it's easy, just relatively easy. Okay, another time and stop at each of the major checkpoints. Let the arms come up, the wrists are completely relaxed, and then feel out to the fingers so the wrists straighten. And hold it here for a second. Notice that my fingers are not particularly high. Don't have the hands up at shoulder height. They're actually here towards the top of my chest. The elbows are dropped. Don't have the elbows pointing out. Let them be dropped. See if your two hands are even, if one hand is further out than the other, or one hand is further up than the other. Check your shoulders, releasing them. Try to feel from your feet all the way out to your fingertips. It's like an open channel all the way through the body out to the hands. If your arms become tired, relax them. Let them go. Okay, bring the hands back in. Let the elbows drop. Let the hands come back in. Come back until you feel like you run into yourself. In the final posture here, there should be one fist width from your chest to your wrist. The hand isn't further out. And look where my elbow is. It didn't slide off to the side. You can see if it slid off to the side because your hands will be pointed in. Make sure the hands are pointed straight ahead. And then let the wrists relax completely. So you'll feel the weight of the hands and the fingers on your wrists. Now let the elbows slide back, the wrists drop, the fingertips point up, and stop right here. Again, you should have a fist width between the body and the back of the palm. The palm didn't go out further. It didn't come back and then fall out further. It's right in here. You'll feel something running across the wrist and the palm. Get it all the way up to the fingers. Don't let the fingers be slack here. feel that running all the way across. Feel what's happening across the back of your neck, across the back of the shoulders. Continuing to release. And then let the hands come down, the wrists gradually straightening. Feel it go through the forearms, wrist, palm, and out to your fingers. Check your shape again. Feet should still be parallel. Weight should be even. And relax. Stay calm in the face of difficult work. Okay, I'm going to keep facing you so you see the pieces. Beth is facing the same way that you are, so follow her if there's any confusion. So shift into the left, turn to the right, feeling your arms long. Turn, let the foot pivot on the heel. Make sure you've got a ball of air. Make sure the two palms are directly over each other. It's easy to miss. And this ball of air is far from you. It's not in close. This ball of air is far from you. And now, really try to be separated. Try to let that front foot float without any weight. You can release the ankle of the front leg to get that. Sit down a little further. Remaining calm. Continuing to relax. Shift all your weight forward. As you do that, you come closer to the ball of air and you turn. Really release the rear leg. This is as easy a place to separate as any. You can let your rear knee drop and you can let that rear foot come off the ground. Make sure you're really relaxed. Continuing to soften. When you want to stand up, let yourself sit down. Okay, now turn to the front corner, pivoting on the ball of the rear foot. Your foot's still empty because you're about to take a step. Step, heel first. No weight. Make sure you can pick that foot back up. And then ward off left. Top hand drops. Inside left wrist, waist turns, rear foot pivots on heel, ward off left. Stop, check. Make sure you've got shoulder wide. Make sure your feet are square ahead. Make sure the front hip joint is creased, the rear is flat, so the waist is square. The ward off arm is rounded, the shoulder isn't pulled forward, the elbow isn't drooped, you've got a feeling of fullness inside. The center line goes right into the palm. The other hand, beautiful lady's wrist, not cocked, here in front of your hip. The body is upright. The shoulders are relaxed. Sitting down. And releasing. When you want to stand up, sit down. Relax, relax, relax. You can try to feel the cross balance, the fullness of your front leg goes through the body to the bottom hand. The top hand feels like it's light. If it starts getting heavy, let yourself sink so the hand can float on the vastness of your chi, as Wolf would say. And you keep relaxing, letting go. you'll find that as you stand here, you'll notice places like in your thighs that are bunching. Feel that and let them go. Let them relax. Your shoulders, feel that and let it relax. When you relax, make sure you keep your shape. Don't have relax cause you to collapse and distort. Relax through the correct shape. Continuing to let go. Okay, take a break. So we tell you when you're doing this kind of separation work and this kind of posture holding, that if you can get all the way through the first third, you're not doing it deeply enough. And so this is really something for you to work on. How can you let yourself soften into the frame, soften into the structure? It doesn't mean go to mush. It means keep the shape. As you get tired, that will become difficult. You'll find yourself drooping. And so you want to notice when that happens and get yourself rebalanced. The other thing that will happen is you'll find your muscles bunching. You'll be grabbing. And that's great because you can notice it. And then you can let it go, let it go. And all through this, keep the mind in the dantian. Remain calm. That's why we're doing this work. So that you can check the details of your postures and so that you can soften and relax in the face of something difficult. So we didn't get very far at all. I'm going to let Beth see if she can get us to, I don't know, press or push or something. If we could make it to a single whip, we'd feel great. But this is the work. It's good to do in little pieces because doing it less intensely doesn't get you the same payoff. So now Beth will help us get some more payoff.
So I want to tell you a little story about how it is that we never seem to get very far when we do this kind of work. Our teacher Jane had a friend from Shurjungje's days back in New York who had moved to Boulder, Susan Rohner, and the two of them would get together like once a quarter or something like that to just correct each other's forms. They never got past word off right, ever, over years. Every time they would get together, they would start at the beginning like we just did, and they never got past word off right. It's all here. Everything we do right at the very beginning is the foundation for what follows. If you can't work right there this intensely and deeply, then it's probably not going to do you much good to work this way somewhere else if you can't get it here. So in the spirit of Jane and Susan, see if we can't get to word off right. So let's take it from word off left, where Lee left off, and I'll keep doing what he was doing where I'm facing toward you, although I guess I should do it this way so that when we do word off right, I'll be facing you. And Lee will face the direction that you expect to be facing. So put yourself into a good position. You're coming here cold, as it were, so put your feet where they need to be. Make sure your front foot is pointing directly straight ahead. Make sure your belly button is also pointing straight ahead, that your hips are square. Make sure that your front leg has a good bend. There's a bend in the hip joint and a bend in the knee. Your rear leg is hanging. It's at a bit of a diagonal the whole way down. So let it right out of the hip socket. It's got a little bit of a rotation that sends it into this rear diagonal position. So once you've got your structure, then you can bring up your arms. Now remember, your arms don't connect at your shoulders here. They actually connect all the way through your scapula. And there's a spot between your shoulder blades that is the place that the arms kind of come together. So see if you can't hold your arms from back there rather than from your shoulders. If you hold them from here, it's going to make it heavy and hard to hold. So find a way that you're holding it up from the center of your back between the shoulder blades. That will help the arms be held without creating extra tension. And we'll continue. So you're going to shift into your left leg. Notice that there's a slight rotation to the left as you do that, and shift all your weight into the left leg. At this point, you have freed your right leg, and it can come off the ground. Turn to the corner. Hands have a ball of air. You're all lined up at the corner, but the knee of your left leg is still pointing at the wall. That means you have to really open up in your hip joint. Keep that open feeling as you step. Make sure you step a little to the right, not just straight ahead, or you won't have any width. See if you can't get your knee to point up, not in. So see how I'm stepping here? This is not a good position for me. Step so that the knee can float upward. Heel is on the ground, the foot and leg are empty. You should be able to just rebalance your leg so that you check the weight that way. Then begin to shift. More weight forward, turn in your back foot and dantian. Now go ahead and check where you ended up. Make sure that your front foot is pointing straight ahead. It might have turned out when you were doing that, checking the separation. Make sure you have an adequate width, that you can sit down, that the front thigh is dropping straight. I don't want it to be turned in this way or feeling like it's pulled out. Make sure your foot is in a position to take the weight right through it. Your rear leg on that diagonal hanging away. Nice deep bend in your front hip joint, bend in your front knee. The rear leg is hanging away. The hip joint is open. It's kind of flat here. And the foot is at a comfortable angle. Check your right hand, ward off. Make sure it's not doing a little droopy thing or like this. It's got that ward off quality. Left hand is between your body and your right hand. We've been taught both the idea of holding a ball and kind of having your fingers point toward your palm. I don't care which one you do, know which one you're doing. I've tended in recent times to go more for the ball feeling. So as you stand here, good bend in the hip joint of the leg that is supporting you. The rear leg is hanging away. Make sure you feel the outer edge of your rear foot so that it's not just rolling in, but you actually have a solid connection to the ground through that whole foot. If you have to change the size or shape of your stance a little bit to get that feeling, go ahead and do so. The whole foot, all the way back to the heel, has to have a good connection to the ground. And relax your shoulders. Easy to start having the shoulders come up as you stand here. We was talking about sitting down in the legs. Make sure your shoulders also release. You're not pushing them down. You're just alleviating them of extra tension. They don't have to hold your arms up. Come back to the place between your shoulder blades. That's the place that holds your two arms. Breathing, relaxing. Feeling the whole body giving in. And rest your legs. Give them a little relaxation, a little shaking out. Jane would tell us, she'd say, okay, shake your legs out. And people would start doing this and she'd say, no, you just were busy relaxing and softening. Don't put all this tension back in your legs to shake them out. So she would have us do kind of like what Lee was doing with us at the beginning, of put one foot out in front of the other and let it hang. Let it hang. So tension that builds up in your thighs, the way to get that out is to actually let it go. Let the leg hang softly, and you can even kind of do this to massage it a little bit if you need to. But this is the way to shake your legs out. Do this sort of thing, not this. And let your arms go. So the place between the shoulder blades, back here, it's like you have one arm that might do two different things at the ends, but it goes through that place. The name for it, can't speak Chinese, but jiaji is how it looks when you transliterate it into English. So that jiaji point, Chengmen Cheng said that is a place where no tension can exist. And kind of check it out. You can do all sorts of things with your shoulder blades, but you can't really tense that place between them. And so if you can let your arms be connected through that spot, the anatomical name for it is the spinal clip. So it's right there where everything comes together. If you can let your arms connect from there, then it won't take the same kind of effort and build up in your shoulders to keep your arms aloft. Of course, your arms are also aloft on, as Wolf would say, the vastness of your chi. So when you sit down, that gives you something to loft the arms so that you're not sitting there holding your arm up and creating extra tension. So, had a good rest? Hey, we went from ward off left to ward off right. Let's do it again, and then maybe we'll even get as far as push. So, ward off left. You know what to do. Get yourself in a good position. Sit down. Bend low would always come over and make us sit lower. You know my name, he would say. Bend low. So let yourself go down to a working position. And begin. Shift. All the weight comes forward. Your right leg is empty. You turn to the corner. Your right leg is still empty. Your left knee is pointing toward the wall. When you take a step, let your hands help you keep your balance here. You've got like a central axis that your hands are resting along. So let that bottom hand help you step the foot. You step, you want to make the knee point up. If you drop the foot, that will show you if you've separated. And then shift. Shift by giving in to the leg that you're standing on, and that starts moving you toward the other leg, and that's how you shift the weight underground, coming up the front leg, using that front hip joint to turn you to the front. Final position. Feel yourself squared up. Nose, toes, and belly button are all pointing in the same direction, right at the wall. Check out your spot between your shoulder blades where no tension can exist. Feel that as the place that your arms balance from. That's where they come together. Holding your arms from there is a much more relaxed place than from the shoulders. So that means your shoulders can let go. Okay, and let's move on. A little more weight into the right leg and turning to the right. As you do that, your fingers open towards your wrist. Sit into your back leg, sitting on top of your back leg. Get your alignment, get yourself well positioned on the leg. Before you try to pick up your empty foot, make sure that you've got a good alignment on the leg you're standing on. And as you stand here, before you pick up this leg, let the butt cheek go, let the hip joint go. That will be the key to being able to just reposition the balance and get the foot off the ground. And then when you put it back down, make sure it's still pointing straight ahead. And turn to the other corner. Not as far as you can turn, just to the corner. Again, let go of what's happening in your empty hip joint. Let that leg soften. You're not using it to hold you up. Let the butt cheek of your empty leg go. Feel yourself really aligned over the back leg, and then you can double check that you haven't shifted the weight into your front leg yet. And now, turn a little more. When we do this kind of work, you stop with the arm fully swung up. Again, release at the hip joint. Your butt cheek, you can reach back there and feel that it's soft. If it isn't soft, find what you need to let go of so that it is soft. Better that you soften there and soften the leg than that you can pick it up. But if you can, see that you haven't put weight into the front leg in order to turn. Now you can start turning back toward the front. Stay in your left leg, your two hands coming toward each other. You've come back to the front. You haven't shifted yet. Now you can shift. Press. So, standing here a minute, you might have lost some of your width in that checking time. So, get yourself back into a position that you can sit in. Press. Letting go. Dropping into your front leg. Releasing your rear leg, feeling the whole foot of the rear leg on the ground. Making sure that the knee of the front leg is right over the foot, isn't being pulled in at all. If it's being pulled in, you need to let go of muscles here to let it release. Arms are held through your Jiaji point. And so you can release your shoulders. Your hands are following one line, not tweaked at all. Relax your belly. Relax your shoulders. And take a break. And shake your legs out the Jane way. Nice and soft, gentle, easy. Now, even as we say, relax in these postures, you're going to feel it in your legs. This is like going to the gym and lifting weights. If you pressed a bunch of weight with your legs, you'd feel it, right? Well, you are the weight. And when you clench all your muscles, you keep the weight from dropping more fully through the legs and into the ground. When you relax, it becomes heavier. Your legs are strengthening. So that feeling may be killer feeling when you're in the moment, but as soon as you come up out of it, this is where Jane said, "Oh, I feel like I could leap backwards up waterfalls." So you get these, it will strengthen your legs and make you more able to do this work. So don't worry if it feels like you're really doing a killer job on your legs. It should not hurt in the joints. So if you have any sharp pain in your joints, particularly knee, ankle, hip, anything like that, that's a misalignment problem. So when we talk about the 70-30, see how my leg, I've got these stripes in my pants, I don't know if you can see them, but you can see how my leg is just a little bit falling in. Over time, this is going to give me pain. I need to make sure that it's dropping straight through. So any pain in your joints is a signal to look more carefully at what's happening with your alignment. And you might need to make your stance a little smaller to get the alignment right. Go ahead and adjust for that quality, and then over time it can get bigger as your legs get stronger in the right place. Because if I'm holding the posture like this, I'm not strengthening myself the way I want to. I'm much better off doing this for a shorter amount of time and actually getting the alignment correct. So take the time to find the right place so that your alignment will enhance your ability to, develop the right qualities rather than just sort of gritting your teeth and saying, "Oh, it's really hard to hold postures, and yeah, it hurts my knees." It shouldn't hurt your knees. Pain here, welcome to the club. Well, we're just about done, so yeah, let's end with what we call the 3 threes. And we're going to do the opening move. We're just going to flow through it. We're going to do it 3 times. Inside of each time, we'll move our arms 3 times. And then we'll call it a morning. So, starting in the V, begin. And raise hands. Let them down 3 times. That's 1. And close. Sitting on the left, turn to the right, come on to the right, and back to the V. And we'll do it again. Breathing, relaxing. letting the movements go through your arms, through all the joints, down to the ground, up to the sky. Sit to the left, sit to the right, back to the V. And once more. And close. Oh, thanks for doing all this good work with us, and we'll keep this up for a while. So just hang in there with it, and we'll see you again soon.